So that's just, as I said, the idea that sometimes, I think we all agree. Some people would say Obamacare, other people would say the Star Wars defense. A lot of things people do because, well, we got to do something. We got money in our treasury, we better spend it. Maybe not always the best thing to do. All right, so that's that topic. Now, the next thing relates to the project I'm doing is read a story. So we've had Mark's story. Now we're going to have one more story, and then a very quick story of how we look at parliamentary procedure. So how do we spend our time? This is a story about an old man that walks up into his attic. He's looking for a picture of his wife, and instead he finds a whole number of boxes of things that he looks into. Silent as a mouse, he patiently opened the long-buried treasures and soon was lost in a sea of memories. Although the world had not stopped for him, it had changed when his wife had died about 12 years ago. Setting aside one of the dusty albums that he had pulled out from the box, he found a journal from his grown son's childhood. He could not recall ever having seen it before, and he didn't realize that his son had kept a journal. Why did Elizabeth always save the children's old junk anyway? Shook his head. Opening the yellowed pages, he glanced over a short story. His lips curved into a smile as he remembered those days. His eyes brightened as the words spoke clear and sweet to his soul. It was the voice of a little boy who had grown up far too fast in this very house, and whose voice had grown fainter and fainter over the years. In the utter silence of the attic, the words of the guileless 6-year-old worked their magic and carried the old man back to a world that he'd forgotten. Entry after entry stirred a sentimental hunger in his heart, like the longing of a gardener waiting for the spring. But it was accompanied by by observing that there was a difference between what his son had recorded and how he remembered things. He took the journal down to his den, where he had his own business journal, recording the days of his business life and a little bit on his home life. He placed the two journals side by side. His was leather bound and engraved neatly with his name in gold. His son's was tattered with the name Jimmy, almost scuffed off of the surface. He ran his long, skinny finger over the words. He opened his journal, and the old man's eyes fell upon an inscription that stood out because it was so brief in comparison with the rest of the days. The days in his journal on that day, it said, "Wasted the whole day fishing with Jimmy. Didn't catch a thing." With a sigh, he shook his head, looked at Jimmy's journal, looked at the same day, June 4th. In his large scrolling letters pressed deeply into the paper read, "Went fishing with my dad. Best day of my life." So we remember that we might just be something in the world, but to the world and someone, we might be everything. Now, let me recover. So how do we look at the world a little differently than Mark does? I think we realize, and with our experience, our story of parliamentary procedure is what we've used parliamentary procedure in. Maybe in a bowling league, a church event, our tennis club, whatever it might be, city council. It gives us the confidence to know that, all right, we know a little bit how things should go, and we can help things, because good things happen, and things are produced in the world by running meetings right. One way to put that is what we do is help make the meetings make a difference. I tried to improve on Judy's song, and I didn't have the time or the talent. But remember her song, the last part of her song is, after one really bad run meeting, the Toastmaster came to say, parliamentarian, with your Robert's rules, teach us how to use these tools